Good afternoon and welcome to Options Tender. It's Friday. Welcome everybody. It's triple, quadruple, all those expirations today. So quite unpredictable. We did not get a large move to the downside. We actually started to get it yesterday. And I do believe we're just having a bounce. There could be a divergence where the SPY gets a inch out a new high and tech gets a lower high and we do correct a little bit more. I still think that's the same scenario. So we'll go through that on SPY through the multiple time frames. And then we'll probably go around the horn on the rest of the major indices, but we're going to do a chart request from one of our supporters here. I noticed that you joined here today. So shout out to Bart. And also, I just started to gain membership and supporters and things like that. So I really appreciate you. Nate, Clinton Shaw, Boss Gains, welcome everybody. So if you're new here, go down to that bottom right-hand corner, hit that Options Tender logo and subscribe. We're going to go through this fairly quickly, but just always know that go play this at 1.5 speed. If you just want to hear the information fast and get through this. So right now we're on SPY in the monthly time frame. We'll point again and again at this 2000 top. 2021, we're at that top again. I'm confident in this top area. Now, we have a couple different scenarios of how this plays out, but right now I do think we're at good resistance. I think a top is forming. Remember, tops take time. Bottoms are events, and the tops are processes. So here we are in the monthly time frame. We still have some month left here. I do think we'll get some sort of rejection here off of the month, so we'll monitor that as time goes. We have negative divergence on the monthly time frame. We also have negative divergence on the weekly time frame. We're not going to show these indicators because I think I don't really want to waste your time. I can make these videos hour, 2 hours, and we can go through the all the oscillators and I'll show them as they make changes throughout these videos. So I do these videos often, kind of a storyline where all the information builds up and gives us more information for us to trade. So make sure you hit that notification bell. And we're on the weekly time frame with SPY. Notice we're getting our rejection here. We have a nice potential reversal candle, and this is the 2000 trend line. I do think we're getting a good top. Now, is it just a shallow reversal? If we do get this reversal here, we have the 8 EMA underneath. That would be just a natural test of there. And also that's our momentum indicator. And we have our 20 simple moving average, which is our trend indicator. So trend is still up, even on the weekly time frame, but we do have negative divergence from these two tops here. It would be, again, it'd be natural to test that 20. Are we going to get there? Not sure, but I do think so. I think it's probable that we do get it. And by the time we get to this maybe top here to test that breakout zone, maybe that's where the 20 will be. So I'll show you on the daily time frame, but let's go over to this other board. I'll show you in the daily time frame, kind of the pathway. So on the weekly, I think that we might get into this time frame here into later July, where we'll be looking for this reversal hitting a bottom. At that point, what we're going to do, and I don't know where that's going to be. Could be down here, could form a head and shoulders there, could be more shallower to where we get a new high. Okay, and we talked about that yesterday, so I'll show you that again. If we get this reversal, we'll see where we get a bottom, maybe one of these points around the end of July. Perhaps that forms a bottom there, and we either go to get our last target at 560, or we make a lower high, back testing a wedge, and I'll show you that again on the daily, and we continue lower. Let's go to that daily time frame. the main thing about this was our target. 560 is our last target. We don't have to get there. We've reached several targets already. But it just, with this momentum, I think it's very possible. So on the daily time frame, daily trend is our friend. We always look at the, most of the time we look at the traditional technical analysis first. So we're forming this wedge. We're just filling it out. It's a bearish rising wedge, and we're getting into that resistance. It's a 2000 trend line top. And we're just overthrowing it, and we're just holding it right here. Everything kind of comes together right here, huh? We have the 8 EMA. We're kind of pushing off of there today because we had a good breakdown yesterday. If you shorted from the top here, looked like the candle was trying to get over. I know I can draw this just a little bit higher. There's another candle over to the left there that I can make that a point of reference. So this could be the top area here. That's not a huge concern. I always consider these zones anyway. So when something peaks above a trend line, I'm not perfect at drawing these things. So it's always a zone. So getting a reverse off the top of the wedge, that bearish rising wedge, and getting a first reaction, and nothing goes in a straight line. So that's possible, just a first A wave or a 1. And then we look for a bounce, and we seem to be getting that today. But still, today is unpredictable. Anything can happen at the end of the session. Last expiration, we had a really bearish day, and then the last hourly candle was extreme bullish at the end of the day, which we played that pretty well. So we're getting a reaction off the 8 EMA. I do think it's highly probable that we test the 20 simple moving average, and as a matter of fact, this trend line down here. So that's what we're looking for this trade. We put our put trades with plenty of time into July. I do think this could start testing the bottom of the wedge. So if you're new, we have 2 scenarios that we're looking at. One is possibly that this is a high that I was talking about, that this is the top. We're into the 150 extension from 2021 to 22 correction. So you get this full correction from top to bottom, and we have the extension from that here. So we hit our first target at 127, our next at 138, our next one at 150, and then our last target, if we choose to do so, if price chooses to do so, up here at the 162% extension. That's at the 560. That's how I got that number on the weekly time frame. So this is going to take time to play out if it does go to that point. But if we have our top in already, which is very possible, and we're going to play it that way, we're looking for this to continue lower, get a bounce, so we break that wedge that I was talking about, back test the wedge, and head down lower. It's probably not going to look just like this. That's the hardest part about trading is building a pathway and knowing exactly how things are going to travel. But that's why we monitor with time and price. So we have a June 21 time and price today, along with the lower time frame as well. So we're into that price today. So is this a low? Sure. Maybe we go get one more high from this point. I suspect, because we had that time and price yesterday, it's kind of a zone. I suspect that we got our top in, but what this could do is just simply say, oh, okay, our bottom's in for this time frame. We go get a new high, and then we look for a lower price. I think it's more likely that the top is in, we get a little bounce, and we continue lower, and we look towards, now we have price relationships here at mid-July on the daily time frame. That's actually July 1st, excuse me. So beginning of July here, maybe that's where we start to get some sort of low, either the low and then go for a higher target, or a bounce low. Okay, that's how we do this. We go to each time frame, and then when the lower time frames match exactly with the higher time frames, our trades are a little bit more probable. So I do think the high is in. I think we go lower. Let's check this out around. We do have FOMC out at 7:30, so we keep that in mind that maybe this whole thing trends until the FOMC, the next one. Okay. Going to the 65-minute. And then I think we'll do oil next, crude on the futures. And then we'll see if we have time for the rest. I don't want to hold everybody up, especially on a Friday. And I want to get these videos out. If you're a supporter, you'll get the video midday so you can position off of it if you need to. And or if you're not, we do get the video out to the public at 4 p.m. So going to the 65, same thing. We're just showing different time frames. We're filling out this wedge. Okay, we're at the top of that wedge. Got a good rejection off of it, and we're having a bounce. We're just kind of working our way into the gap area. So we'll see if we fill that gap. It's possible. It does look like a three-wave move. We could probably look at lower time frames, but either way, if we're only getting an A, a B, and a C into our target, that's fine too. And you get a 5-wave move down here. So this B could take a little bit of time going into maybe Monday or Tuesday, but we'll look at some time relationships. I think this one's important. Here's our estimated target for a low on the lower time frame, but not necessarily the low. Okay, so our two situations on this traditional technical analysis, you just see a trend line here in this 200 simple moving average. I think we can hit that target by this time relationship at next Wednesday, and we'll look for a bounce, either a continuation higher to our next target, or a bounce, a rejection, and a lower price from there. That would break down from the wedge. That would be a technical breakdown, and we'd start to get a little bit more bearish at that point, because we have to remain bullish after a correction into this wedge until it breaks down. Okay, so where do I get this time relationship? Here again, we marked FOMC. So let's go over to our other board, where again we're at this time relationship here at 621. So we have this cluster. Really this could mark another top. We started off lower, maybe we're getting into that cluster and we have another top and we continue lower. That this one isn't as clear. I erased the other one where we had our top. So this looks good. Where price action's bouncing, and maybe that's just a dead cat bounce. And then we get our lower prices. Now we have this cluster here at 626. We have 3, 4, 5 of these time relationships. And so whatever happens with price here, I think if price continues higher into this time frame, I think that will be another legit, and we'll see where price actually goes. But I think that'll be another objective short from that point. Now, if price continues lower into next week, then if we're getting into those target areas, which was the 530, that's where that box was with the 200 simple moving average, 530. It's a zone. That's also the 382 retracement. This would be a good spot for a long, just for a bounce, at minimum a bounce, and then see what price does after that into more time relationships. So you saw that we had early July time relationships on the daily. So we also have that on the 65-minute as well. So that will be our next look for a turn. That's how this all works. So maybe we go down here, get a turn, maybe we get a bounce into here or even higher, and we look for a breakdown. So let's see where time and price comes together. As of right now, we're looking bearish. We're getting underneath. Still in a bullish stance on the higher time frames, but on the lower time frame, it looks like hopefully we'll check out the simple moving average. I think that would be an appropriate spot for price to bounce to if it wishes to do so, and it doesn't have to, and continue lower from there. I think that's more likely of the situation. So let's take a look from the top down on crude. Let's go to this monthly. And I haven't charted crude oil in quite some time, so you're going to see some old. We'll do this together, and that's what I do on the member videos. Is I do this. I try not to do too much before I do the actual video, so I can work things out with you. Now, I like to highlight these consolidation areas on the futures. I do that for you guys on some. I think it's mostly on SPX. But here we go. So that creates support and resistance right now, and also volume nodes. Those are important as well. So a lot of volumes traded in here. But on a traditional technical analysis look, it's very visual. We triangulated, we broke down from there, created a positive divergence on the monthly time frame, and now had that large move back above, a fake break above that triangle, and back tested. Now it's back testing the triangle. All right, I think this is very bullish. We're holding the 200 moving average, but notice all the averages are moving sideways. We spent months and months and a couple years in this range, so we're forming pretty much another triangle at this point, a consolidation zone after this large trending move, back testing the triangle, and starting to form positive market structure. Now, we haven't made a new high yet, but we're making higher lows, lower highs in an equilibrium. And now our first target here, and you can build yourself a trade off of this. I think the trade is good from here now, with this candle being the stop. So if you're in this for the long term, if you're buying in your IRA or something like that, you can put your stop underneath this monthly candle. But this first high over here, about, let's just call it 88, it should be off to the races for this. When this breaks, it's going to trend again quite a bit. So let's look at the weekly time frame, see if we can find something new. So this looks positive. Looks like a positive move here. So we're at the top of this triangle that's forming, and it's not perfect. It looked like we were trying to get out of there, back testing and coming up there. So we have a larger triangle here, but there is another trend line creating some momentum here, and you can do it again and again. That's typically as price starts to move, like your uptrend lines, these are technically uptrend lines, start to get more positive and a little bit more vertical. So starting to make the move. We have the 200 weekly moving average. And again, these moving averages are getting so tightly wound up. This thing's going to move pretty soon. And we're looking on the monthly and weekly time frame. So pretty soon, I mean, within, maybe this still has another pullback down to the 200. We have some room left in the apex here. And this could possibly fill out another couple weeks, maybe another couple months, really. But just keep your alerts set. We have what I call a bow and arrow support and resistance. So we can draw this in here. So getting above and staying above this resistance. I'm just drawing this on the fly. I think this looks good here because we have resistance here, support broken down, resistance all here. Resistance, support, and broken down, and again resistance and resistance again here. So if you want to put your trade on after this, if you want to be in early, it looks like above this 83 would be the spot to try to get in. That'd be a good first attempt. Maybe you want to do a swing trade with options or something like that. So But the advantage here, I think, is to the upside when it does break out. Just make sure you're disciplined with your stops. That's all. You can always get out and you can re-enter again. So here's trend is our friend. Now some of these trend lines have moved as the contracts have expired. So that's why these lines here are off. And so we're building this triangle again. And we're checking this out here. Let me straighten these out. All right, so again, really just a triangle. And if we want to count this as a triangle or perhaps a wave 4, this could be the top here, and you have ABC for A, B, C, D, E is over. So perhaps this is a impulse wave, and this might be stretched out and have to correct. So maybe this isn't on the daily time frame. Maybe this isn't the best entry point. So this could correct into a Fibonacci. And if you take the bottom here, if this is the end of a triangle, then we have the bottom to the top, and a retracement. A good retracement would be about the 62, but really watch oil likes a trend, so it could hold at the 50. Maybe you scale in from the 50, 60, and it can even go all the way down to 786, which then it's technically considered testing this lower triangle here and just filling out the triangle again. So this would have been a good entry point, and then getting out before. But anywhere in this range would be a good long entry point, a 1-2 setup. But if you want to just wait till it breaks out, that's fine too. I'm not sure that we'll get more information on the 65, but we'll dig in here real quick, see if we see anything. And this is kind of a good level here, the 78, and this looks like a good impulse wave. And so this looks like it's starting to pull back and wants to correct. So maybe we get our correction. It's a good volume node here, consolidation. So, price could just hold at the 78 and go under, but it does like to spike through things, get stops, and then head above. So this really looks bullish. We're starting to build some structure. Let's keep this in mind for a good trade here. And then you can look at some of the individual names as well. Marathon, the big talk with Warren Buffett is, which one? Occidental Petroleum, I believe. So these are all setting up very nicely. All right. Thanks for the request. We're at 23 minutes, so let me check out the VIX real quick. I just don't want these to go over 30. So we built this channel here from the bottom. We had a few touches, and so we're testing the top of that channel, getting a rejection off of it. I do think that this is going to build a higher low, and we start to break above this channel. That would be very bearish on the market. If this continues lower to make new lows, then price action is grinding higher to the upside. And I think it's likely that a couple leaders that are setting up, give you a freebie here, could be Apple. Apple's flagging. Maybe Nvidia continues. I'd already corrected pretty heavily. So you have a flag here in Apple. If you're looking for a trade setup, that could help the market grind to the upside. These would be our risk factors. I'm short the market, so I look for individual names that might pop to the upside and help to hedge those trades. And all y'all know I'm in Tesla as well. I made a members video, and I'll release that when Tesla starts to move. All right, and QQQ. QQQ is up. That beautiful symmetry here. Hit the top, rejected off of it. Can it go up and hit another top? Yeah, maybe I'm counting this wrong, and this could be a 4 and another 5 back up in here. It's not my concern. That's just a couple points here. If you're trading, clearly, if you're trading a couple days out for your options, that's a concern. But if you have time on your options and you have your excuse me, I was looking at something there. And if you have your hedges in as well, then you'll be just fine. So we have some gaps to fill. There's tons of gaps below. I think that price is going to fill there. This does look like it's an ABC, like a flat pattern. That's possible. This was the high. We didn't get a new high here. And this could be the end of a correction, but this could also still be just an A, a B, and then a larger C impulse wave down to test the bottom of the wedge. And I think that would mimic the SPY. And again, as I've been talking over and over about IWM, this potentially has the energy to rip. And if that starts to do so, if this starts to break out from this flag, you gotta jump in on that. It's, maybe the Qs are weighing the market down, but this is holding the market up by just, it looks beautiful. There's a 3-wave move. You got the A, the B, fake break, C, impulse wave down to complete a move, and we're setting up a 1-2 setup. So a lot of the small caps might want to move and catch up, and we're at the 60 for wave 1 and 2. We're at the 62% retracement of that this last move up here, and now this little move. Look at that, right to our zone, the 62% and 78.6 zone. It's holding up really well, looks good, and I think that next week could be the start of a ripper here for the small caps. I know that bearish on the market, it's hard to be too bearish on the market if you have really good setups in all these small cap names, including the ones that I put out earlier, SMCH or SMCI, whatever the semiconductor. You can look that up. They're trading vehicles. I don't look at the fundamentals of those companies. So this would be a good hedge for if you're short the market. I think this is going to look really good going into next week. And at minimum, just use IWM for that, because IWM is setting up right now. Okay. Thanks, guys. Thank you for all your likes, and we will talk to you in the next video.